For thousands of years, humans have imagined a creature that does not exist, yet somehow feels real. A single horn, a white body, grace, purity, power. A unicorn.
I think it's an awesome concept. I don't know the history of unicorns. I don't know the historical importance of unicorns. I can't say how it's really impacted me, other than I think that they're awesome, and I think that if they do exist, where can I sign up to own one?
Well, my first perception of unicorns probably started as a kid, because especially as a girl, I feel like you see unicorns in a lot of stories and movies. Like, for instance, one of my favorite shows growing up was My Little Pony. I really loved unicorns growing up, and I kind of saw them as like a symbol of like whimsicalness and hope and friendship and magic.
Unicorns did not begin as children's fantasies. Their origins trace back to ancient civilizations trying to find explanations for the unknown. Early descriptions appear in texts from India, Persia, and Greece, where travelers spoke of wild, one-horned animals roaming distant lands. These accounts were likely inspired by real creatures, such as rhinoceroses, antelopes, and even narwhal tusks, misunderstood through distance and storytelling. In medieval Europe, the unicorn transformed from animal into symbol.
So I would say the symbolism part of the unicorn represents the uniqueness of people and how everyone is different in their own way. I feel like people should keep being unicorns and just, keep being themselves.
It became a creature that could not be captured, except, according to legend, by a virgin. This idea tied unicorns to purity and morality and divine truth. They appear in religious art, tapestries, royal crests, representing power restrained by virtue. But symbolism is never fixed. What the unicorn meant depended on who was telling the story. To royalty, the unicorn symbolized strength without corruption. To the church, it represented Christ and spiritual purity. To scholars, it became a question. Proof of how belief could override evidence. By the age of exploration, belief in unicorns began to fade. Science advanced, maps filled in. The world became more explained and less magical.
I don't think too much about unicorns, unlike other people, which is fine if you'd like to think about unicorns, but I know that in the real world they don't exist.
Yet the unicorn did not disappear, it adapted. In modern culture, unicorns reappeared. Not as sacred beings, but symbols of imagination. They became colorful, playful, and exaggerated, especially in children's media.
I had a lot of nightmares when I was little, and I would just think of unicorns, and it would bring me a lot of calmness and would clear my mind and make me really happy. Now, I think unicorns are not as special as they were when I was a kid. It's kind of sad. They don't mean as much to me now, which is crazy because when I was little, they meant the world to me and they could do so much, and now they don't do anything.
This shift reflects something important. As the world became more cruel and stressful and complex, fantasy became a form of escape. Today, unicorns exist everywhere. In movies, toys, fashion, social media. They are bright, surreal, and often deliberately unrealistic. But their symbolism has evolved again. In contemporary society, unicorns represent individuality and nonconformity. To be a unicorn, as it means now, is to not fit into expectations. They are often embraced by communities who value self-expression, creativity, and identity beyond norms.
When I met my fiance, she had a robe that was covered in unicorns, and she said it was because my friends, see me as a unicorn. And the more I thought about it, that's kind of how I have lived my life. Not as the horse thing, but as the concept of unicorn. And so now, had earrings made that are 2 unicorns. I make decorations that are 2 unicorns, all because that's who my fiance and I are.
Unicorns also play a role in how we market ideas. In business, a unicorn company is one that seems impossible until it succeeds. This reflects a cultural obsession with rarity, innovation, and exceptionalism. Yet, this raises a question: why are we so drawn to something that cannot exist? Maybe unicorns endure because they represent hope. They exist at the intersection of belief and imagination, where logic ends and possibility begins. They allow us to believe in goodness without proof, in beauty without function. At the same time, unicorns remind us of our tendency to mythologize, to turn stories into truths, to project meaning into what we want to believe. In that way, unicorns are less about fantasy and more about humanity. They reveal how societies change, what we value, what we fear losing: magic, innocence, and wonder. The unicorn has survived not because it's something real, but because it represents something real within us. As long as humans continue to imagine, to hope, and to question, the unicorn will remain, not in forests or history books, but in stories we tell to understand ourselves.